Mark Ames said Craig Palace has deliberately dragged their feet over a replacement for Gay. Yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong, my man. But ultimately, with all the best will in the world, it comes down to Palace to say yes or no to the sale. I don't disagree, by the way, that they kind of shafted him a little bit. But what really gets me is some of the articles around it. Like, there was an article, I think it was from Jason Burt in the Telegraph, that said something along the lines of, if Liverpool had have just paid 55 million for Mark Gay, he'd be a Liverpool player. Why is it that the narrative is so different when it's us? I don't get this. Why should Liverpool pay 50, 55 million for him with 1 year to go in his deal when they value him at about 30, 35? Why should we do that? We got an agreement on the deal. They pulled the plug on it last minute. So ultimately, Liverpool were going to get their man for the number they were comfortable with, and this narrative about just paying what you want is absolute nonsense. I didn't see Newcastle caving in early doors for Visa's money. They had to wait, and then they shit the bed at the end and coughed it all up. It just feels like, again, there's one set of morals for Liverpool that we get held to as a club, and everybody else can do what the hell they want. Don't like it. And I wish Gay had gotten his move, because next time this happens and a player wants a move, well, it's been pretty much laid out now. Act like an unhappy fella, you'll get your move. Be professional, get shafted. So again, they keep banging on to us about they don't like to see this, they don't like to see that, credit player for this, credit player for that, but the player you're crediting got shafted. Everybody else got their move. So I don't know what message this sends to others in the future, except for kick up a big fuss again and you'll get your move. Colin, how are you? Miss you. Kind of scared Mark changes his mind now. I have no idea if he does or doesn't. I really don't. Like, I'm reading some sites like The Echo, and they kind of speak about it being a formality that he becomes a Liverpool player. I think even James Pearce the other day, when the transfer saga was still ongoing, said he will be a Liverpool player. It's just a matter of when. So I hope that all of those conversations have taken place. Now, I'm sure that there will be clubs around Europe sniffing around Mark Gay, because they'd be wrong not to. 6 months to go on his deal, they're able to sign him on a pre-contract or have conversations with him. But at the same time, knowing what we do know about Mark Gay, if he's given his word to Liverpool and Liverpool still want it, you would imagine it will happen. We'll find out about this, though, soon enough. More will come out about this over the coming weeks. Suleiman said, regarding Gay's transfer, I'm not sure why Liverpool couldn't tell Palace to confirm the transfer by a certain time before deadline day. I guess if you're Liverpool, Suleiman, and he's the guy you want. Now, I don't know if there was plan A, B, C, and D on it. I just don't. But let's say, for instance, it was Gay they wanted and that was it. Well, putting them on the shot clock doesn't really change anything, because they still have to go and find the replacement. And it was the replacement that seemingly made this deal fall apart. Now, why did West Ham move so late? Why were they not able to convince the guy from Brighton to come and join them? Don't really know on that one. I think he had worked with Graham Potter at Brighton, the centre-back that shafted them. So maybe, he was waiting for that to come in. Even as a footballing decision, it's a questionable one, because Crystal Palace right now are, I would say, a better team than West Ham by quite a way. And also, you're guaranteed that game time as well there with Crystal Palace, because they need the body. So I don't know if it was a money thing and the numbers were just better for him and he decided to change. But I do know that Liverpool really thought this one was going through. And when it came out yesterday that Parish was at a fitness class in Soho till 6 o'clock when the window's closing at 7 and there's a deal sheet going in, that really was a head scratcher. Craig, who would you consider alternative to Gay if we didn't get him from the Premier League centre-backs? Good question. So it'll depend if we need somebody that is homegrown. Because Nkapie, as an example, who went to Arsenal, could have been somebody we looked at. Maybe Levi Colwill if he came back from his injury down the line, if Chelsea were open to selling him, which I don't think they will be, but he'd be one. Other than that, I can't really think of anybody. Elmir. Gay ticked a lot of boxes in that way. Stephen, is there no way, I think you meant Gay, can appeal the transfer since Crystal Palace pretty much sabotaged his transfer? No, he can't. Crystal Palace own the player's registration. And, these things are only black and white. It's a legal thing. The player does his medical and all. Yeah, it's shit that it's pulled last minute, but it's not the first and it won't be the last time, unfortunately. that these type of things happen. There is no real legal recompense there for Mark Gay, but morally, I'm sure it's annoyed him, and his relationship with Crystal Palace and Oliver Glasner, well, that could be a very different conversation. It's a tough one. It really is. But legally, no, there's not really anything there because he's their player. And if they don't want to sell him when he has time left on his contract, they don't have to do so. But appreciate the question, Stephen, and thank you, mate, for being in with us. Craig, surely we could throw in a bid for Saliba. What do you think? I'd rather we wait and get Mark Gay, honestly. I can see a world where our defence in the future is Mark Gay and Leone, like 2-3 years down the line, when Leone's gone on a little bit. Mark Gay maybe steps into the leadership position that Virgil has. But the big question for me again is still what the hell is happening with Canade? We're still none the wiser as to whether Ibu's going to sign a new deal or whether that's in the bin. I knew you'd meant Gay, mate. It's okay. Autocorrect does me dirty plenty of times as well. Why would Gay allegedly change his mind over joining Liverpool when it was Palace who caused the problem with the transfer? Just in case, Mark, let's say Barcelona came in. Because at that point, he still had to be a fee paid for him, right? So at that point, Liverpool were the only ones that were putting up the money because he was where we wanted to go as well. Or we were where he wanted to go, excuse me. But in January, if they wanted to, you know, your Bayern Munich's, your Barcelona's, your Real Madrid's, they can all talk to Mark Gay and his representatives openly without any hassle, but Liverpool couldn't because we're in the same league, in the same nationality. So it's only overseas clubs that have that advantage of talking with and getting a pre-contract signed if they so wished. So I guess it will come down to what Mark Gay wants to do. Does he fulfill that move to Liverpool eventually and pocket a few quid himself for a signing on fee? Does he go in January? Or does he reevaluate and see how the season goes? Because it may change for us as well. Like, let's say Gomez picks up a knock in November. Maybe that pushes Liverpool in January where they were going to wait till the end of the season. Again, what's happening with Canade and his contract? We don't know. So how is that going to impact the season going on? Didinho said, "You'll never walk alone, Cal. Paris was hiding in the gym. Parish was hiding in the gym. Coward." It just felt so weird to read that yesterday. That I think it was at the Times that put that out. That he was in Soho at a fitness class in a gym till 6 o'clock. When one of the biggest assets at his club was being sold and he's in a gym. That's a piss take. And that alone would be enough for me to lose my shit if I was Mark Gay. Ahmed said, "Unfortunately, clubs are going for Gay like Madrid." But that doesn't mean anything. I'm not saying 100% he's going to be a Liverpool player because, like I said all the way through the summer, I don't know the Mark Gay situation. I don't have anything on that. But he strikes me as the type of guy who word means a lot to. He's the son of a pastor. He's a religious man. He is a leader. He just seems like a really good fella. And if he feels he wants to come to Liverpool, and Liverpool would have been sitting there with him and his family and his representatives in their offices in London while he was doing his medical. And I'm sure the conversations would have been had at the point of the deal breaking down that we still want you, mate. We will revisit this. And I do think, despite others like Madrid maybe coming in, Mark Gay will want to join Liverpool Football Club because Liverpool Football Club were the ones who were willing to put their hand in their pocket and put the money on the table to bring him in. It's not Liverpool's fault that Crystal Palace pulled the plug on the deal. So I'm sure others will be interested. But again, Liverpool have that long-standing desire and want to bring him in and would have done a lot of the groundwork.